Now let's take a look at the 10 basic steps in special education. We'll start with an overview of the special education process, and then we'll explain your parental rights and responsibilities. Children can have all sorts of difficulties growing up. Sometimes problems are obvious right from the start, and sometimes they don't appear until a child is in school. Some children have trouble learning to read or write. Others have a difficulty retaining new information. Still others may have behavioral issues. For some children, growing up can be very hard to do. When a child is having trouble in school, it's important to find out why. The child may have a disability, and by law, schools must provide special help to eligible children with disabilities. This help is called special education and related services. There is valuable information to know about the process in which children are identified as having a disability and in need of special education and related services. This brief overview is an excellent place to start. Once you have the big picture of the process, it's easier to understand the many details under each step. This graphic is a very basic overview of the timelines that are in place to ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. Each portion of the process has a specific timeline that must be adhered to. For example, from the time that a child is first referred to the time when he or she is evaluated, not more than 65 business days should pass. From the time that a child is found eligible for services to when an individualized education plan is written, not more than 30 calendar days should pass. Be sure to ask your school about those dates. Step 1 is the referral. There are two primary ways in which children are identified as possibly needing special education and related services. The system known as Child Find, which operates in each state, and by referral of a parent, school personnel, or anyone else familiar with the child's needs. Child Find. Each state is required by Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, to identify, locate, and evaluate all children with disabilities in the state who need special education and related services. To do so, states conduct what are known as Child Find activities. When a child is identified by Child Find as possibly having a disability and as needing special education, parents may be asked for permission to evaluate their child. Parents can also call the Child Find office and ask that their child be evaluated. Referral or request for evaluation. When parents, school staff, or friends notice that a student might need special help, they should give that information in writing to the school system. A school professional may ask that a child be evaluated to see if he or she has a disability. Parents may also contact the child's teacher or other school professionals to ask that their child be evaluated. Parental consent is needed before a child may be evaluated. Under the federal IDEA regulations, evaluation needs to be completed within 65 business days after the parent gives consent. However, if a state's IDEA regulations give a different timeline for completion of the evaluation, the state's timeline is applied. A team, and the parent will be invited to participate, will gather information and decide if an evaluation is needed. Information given by parents is very important. This request may be verbal, but it's best to put it in writing. Step 2 is evaluation. Evaluation is an early step in the special education process for a child and provides a careful view by a team of teachers and specialists at a student's abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. It provides information about the student's educational needs and will also include information provided by the parents that can assist in determining whether a student has a disability and is in need of special education and related services. It's intended to answer these questions. Does the child have a disability that requires the provision of special education and related services? What are the child's specific educational needs? What special education services and related services, then, are appropriate for addressing those needs? By law, the initial evaluation of the child must be full and individual, which is to say, focused on that child and that child alone. The evaluation must assess the child in all areas related to the child's suspected disability. The evaluation results will be used to decide the child's eligibility for special education and related services, and to make decisions about an appropriate educational program for the child. If the parents disagree with the evaluation, they can request an independent educational evaluation, or IEE. They can ask that the school system pay for this IEE. Step 3. Eligibility is decided. In order for a student to receive special education services, the student must first have a disability according to the state criteria. At the eligibility meeting, a team of qualified professionals and the parents of the student make a decision as to whether or not a student has a disability and needs special education and related services. If the parents do not agree with the eligibility decision, they may ask for a hearing to challenge the decision. Step 4. Pulling together the IEP team. If the child is found to be a child with a disability as defined by IDEA, he or she is eligible for special education services. Within 30 calendar days after a child is determined eligible, the IEP team must meet to write an IEP for the child. Step 5. The IEP meeting. Every student in special education must have an individualized education program known as the IEP. The IEP is a written statement describing the specially designed program developed to meet the needs of the individual student. Parents are to be members of the team and participate with the school staff in the development of the IEP. The student should also participate in the decision-making process when appropriate. Written parental consent is needed prior to implementation of the IEP. The school system schedules and conducts the IEP meeting. School staff must contact the participants, including the parents. Notify parents early enough to make sure they have an opportunity to attend. Schedule the meeting at a time and place agreeable to parents and the school. Tell the parents the purpose, time, and location of the meeting. Tell the parents who will be attending, and inform the parents that they may invite people to the meeting who have knowledge or special expertise about the child. Step 6. Writing the IEP. The IEP team gathers to talk about the child's needs and write the student's IEP. Parents and the student, when appropriate, are full participating members of the team. Before the school system may provide special education and related services to the child for the first time, the parents must give consent. The child begins to receive services as soon as possible after the IEP is written and this consent is given. If the parents do not agree with the IEP and placement, they may discuss their concerns with other members of the IEP team and try to work out an agreement. If they still disagree, parents can ask for mediation, or the school may offer mediation. Parents may file a complaint with the state education agency and may request a due process hearing, at which time mediation must be available. Step 7. Placement. After the IEP is written, services are provided. The placement decision identifies the appropriate level of services needed to meet each student's educational goals. Placement is decided by the IEP team. The school makes sure that the child's IEP is carried out as it was written. Parents are given a copy of the IEP. Each of the child's teachers and service providers have access to the IEP and know his or her specific responsibilities for carrying out the IEP. This includes the accommodations, modifications, and supports that must be provided to the child in keeping with the IEP. Step 8. Measuring progress. Progress is measured and reported to parents. After the IEP is written and parental consent is obtained, the IEP is implemented as described on the services pages of the IEP. Parents and school staff work together to make the IEP and placement a success for the student. The child's progress towards the annual goals is measured as stated in the IEP. His or her parents are regularly informed of their child's progress and whether that progress is enough for the child to achieve the goals by the end of the year. These progress reports must be given to parents at least as often as parents are informed of their non-disabled children's progress. Step 9. IEP Review. Your child's IEP is reviewed by the IEP team at least once a year, or more often if the parents or school ask for a review. If necessary, the IEP is revised. Parents, as team members, must be invited to participate in these meetings. Parents can make suggestions for changes, can agree or disagree with the IEP, and agree or disagree with the placement. If parents do not agree with the IEP and placement, they may discuss their concerns with other members of the IEP team and try to work out an agreement. There are several options, including additional testing, an independent evaluation, or asking for mediation or a due process hearing. They may also file a complaint with the state education agency. Step 10. Reevaluation. At least once a year, parents and school staff meet to review the student's IEP. Anytime there is a change or proposed change in a student's educational program, parents and school staff will gather more information to determine the appropriate educational program. Any changes to the student's educational program requires written parental consent before the implementation. Every 3 years, a student's eligibility is reviewed. This may involve new evaluations. This is called the Triennial review. Its purpose is to find out if the child continues to be a child with a disability as defined by IDEA and what the child's educational needs are. However, the child must be reevaluated more often if conditions warrant or if the child's parent or teacher asks for a new evaluation. This is an overview of the special education process. To learn more detailed information, refer to the Parent's Guide to Special Education. These books are readily available. Just contact your Parent Resource Center and they'll be happy to assist you. Now we're going to talk about parental rights and responsibilities. What your child should do and what you should do. Also, what parents can offer to the IEP process. Parents of children with disabilities have a vital role to play in the education of their children. This fact is guaranteed in federal legislation that specifies the right of parents to participate in the educational decision-making process. As your child progresses through educational systems, knowing and following through on your rights and responsibilities ensures that you're a contributing partner with professionals who will influence your child's future. The following information provides you with an introduction to your rights and responsibilities in the special education process. What are your rights in the special education process? Public Law 101-476 of IDEA clearly defines the rights of children with disabilities and their parents. A basic provision of the law is the right of parents to participate in the educational decision-making process. Your rights, more specifically, include the following. Your child is entitled to a free, appropriate public education, or FAPE, meaning it is at no cost to you as parents, and it meets the unique educational needs of your child. You will be notified whenever the school wishes to evaluate your child, wants to change your child's educational placement, or refuses your request for an evaluation or a change in placement. You may request an evaluation if you think your child needs special education or related services. You should be asked by your school to provide parent consent, meaning you understand and agree in writing to the evaluation and initial special education placement for your child. Your consent is voluntary and may be withdrawn at any time. You may obtain an independent evaluation if you disagree with the outcome of the school's evaluation. You may request a reevaluation if you suspect your child's current educational placement is no longer appropriate. The school must reevaluate your child at least every 3 years, but your child's educational program must be reviewed at least once during each calendar year. You may have your child tested in the language he or she knows best. For example, if your child's primary language is Spanish, he or she must be tested in Spanish. Also, students who are hearing impaired have the right to an interpreter during the testing. The school must communicate with you in your primary language. The school is required to take whatever action is necessary to ensure that you understand its oral and written communication, including arranging for an interpreter if you're hearing impaired or if your primary language is not English. You may review all of your child's records and obtain copies of these records, but the school may charge you a reasonable fee for making copies. Only you, as parents, and those persons directly involved in the education of your child will be given access to personal records. If you feel any of the information in your child's records is inaccurate, misleading, or violates the privacy or other rights of your child, you may request that the information be changed. If the school refuses your request, you then have the right to request a hearing to challenge the questionable information in your child's records. You must be fully informed by the school of all the rights provided to you and your child under the law. You may participate in the development of your child's Individualized Education Program, or IEP. The IEP is written statements of the educational program designed to meet your child's unique needs. The school must make every possible effort to notify you of the IEP meeting and arrange it at a time and place agreeable to you. As an important member of the team, you may attend the IEP meeting and share your ideas about your child's special needs, the type of program appropriate to meeting those needs, and the related services the school will provide to help your child benefit from his or her educational program. You may have your child educated in the least restrictive school setting possible. Every effort should be made to develop an educational program that will provide the greatest amount of contact with children who are not disabled. You may request a due process hearing to resolve differences with the school that could not be resolved informally. What are your responsibilities in the special education process? Parental responsibilities to ensure that a child's rights are being protected are less clearly defined than are parental rights. These responsibilities vary depending on the child's disabling condition and other factors. Some of the following suggestions may be helpful. Develop a partnership with the school or agency. You are now an important member of the team. Share relevant information about your child's education and development. Your observations and suggestions can be a valuable resource to aid your child's progress. Learn as much as you can about your rights and the rights of your child. Ask the school to explain these rights as well as the regulations in effect for your district and state before you agree to a special education program for your child. Contact disability organizations for their publications on special education rights. Ask for clarification on any aspect of the program that is unclear to you. Educational and medical terms can be confusing, so don't hesitate to ask. Make sure you understand the program specified on the IEP before agreeing to it or signing it. Ask yourself if what is planned corresponds with your knowledge of your child's needs. Consider how your child might be included in the regular school activities program. Don't forget areas such as lunch, recess, art, music, and physical education. Monitor your child's progress. If your child is not progressing, discuss it with the teacher and determine whether the program should be modified. As a parent, you can initiate review of your child's educational program. Discuss with the school or agency any problems that may occur with your child's assessment, placement, or educational program. It's best to try to resolve problems directly with the agency or school. In some situations, you may be uncertain as to how you should resolve a problem. All states have advocacy agencies that can usually provide you with the guidance you need to pursue your case. Keep records. There may be many questions and comments about your child that you will want to discuss, as well as meetings and phone conversations you will want to remember. It's easy to forget information useful to your child's development and education if it's not written down. What can you offer the IEP process? Before attending an IEP meeting, make a list of things you want your child to learn. Bring any information the school or agency may not already have to the IEP meeting. Examples include copies of medical records, past school records, and test and medical evaluation results. Discuss what related services your child may need. Your child may need to be involved with many other specialists and professionals besides his or her teacher, including occupational therapists, physical therapists, or speech-language pathologists. Discuss what assistive technology devices or services your child may need and have these listed in your child's IEP. Ask what you can do at home to support the program. Make sure the goals and objectives listed in the IEP are specific and measurable. Periodically, ask for a report on your child's progress. Regard your child's education as a cooperative effort. If, at any point, you and the school cannot reach an agreement over your child's educational and developmental needs, ask to have another meeting. Remember, compromise on your part and the school's or agency's part may be important in resolving conflicts and maintaining a good working relationship. All parents have a responsibility to actively participate in their child's education. Hopefully, with the information we've just given you, you will be able to partner with your school with confidence.